And I had this amazing dream of being at the premiere of my movie. And I could see all the pictures out of my book were posters on the wall. I could taste the champagne, seeing the world below you and just getting a different perspective. To me, it was like a totally different perspective on life.
Welcome back to another episode of the Succeeding and Out show. Today I have an amazing guest, Cookie Lowe. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Cookie, I met you briefly at a networking event. It was several months ago. I think it was probably even more than a year ago, or approximately around that.
Yeah.
And I had very, very little chance to talk to you, but I just got enough to say, I need to have you on the show. Do you remember me saying,
Yes.
I have to have you on the show? This was so interesting. So as you can see, Cookie is wearing a uniform. The one thing that intrigued me about you and your story is that you were the first female pilot for commercial airline back in South Africa.
Yes.
Okay, tell us how that happened.
Well, it's so funny. I always say, that opportunities knock at different times and completely unexpected. From Austria, when I was 7, my parents immigrated to what was then Southwest Africa.
Okay.
Now it's called Namibia.
And then your parents passed away and you moved to Germany.
And I moved to Germany to go to photography school. I spent 3 years in Germany, came out to help my uncle out who had bought our photography business. And he said to me, Cookie, I've hired a plane and a pilot. Why don't you go up and take some air photographs? And I had never been in a small plane. And it was just the most exhilarating feeling ever. And at the end of the photo shoot, the pilot sort of jokingly turned to me and said, would you like me to fly you into the sunset? And we were looking into this huge orange ball that was just about to descend into the ocean. It was unbelievable. It was breathtakingly beautiful. And he just pushed the stick forward and we headed straight for the water. I didn't care. Every cell in my body was vibrating with excitement. And then he leveled the plane off a couple of feet, it seemed to me, really close to the water, probably a couple of feet above the water. And we were just skimming towards this huge orange ball that was just about to descend into the ocean. And I can honestly say I had not felt that alive ever up to this point. And basically, although I didn't admit it at the time, but by the time I got back on the ground, I pretty well had made up my mind I was going to learn to fly.
So that was the moment that made you decide, that's it,
Absolutely.
This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Did you know at that moment that you were going to be flying for commercial airline? Is that it was just like, I just got to fly?
I just got to fly. I mean, becoming the first female airline pilot in South Africa had never entered my mind.
Okay, that's what I'm intrigued about, right? See, that's what I want to know. And I'm sure our audience wants to know too. So being the first woman to be a pilot for commercial airline, what was that process? Was it an easy process or what kind of challenges did you encounter?
I mean, I'm not somebody to set, I don't set myself goals. I really just go with what feels good at the moment. And
spontaneous.
And I mean, once I decided I wanted to, I got my private pilot license. I was still working as a photographer. But flying back then was also really expensive. And once I had my private pilot license, I realized very quickly I couldn't possibly fly as much as I wanted to fly unless I moved to the next phase, which really at the time, my only option was to get a commercial license, get an instructor's rating, and instruct, which I was really excited about. Because I had gotten so much out of flying at this point, and I just wanted to share that passion with other people and give them this incredible exhilaration of being up in the sky and seeing the world below you and just getting a different perspective. To me, it was like a totally different perspective on life. And I've had such amazing moments in aircraft. Often, most of the time, flying by myself. Like if you fly through a really bad weather, and you eventually, it's pretty terrifying, and you break through, and all of a sudden, you're sitting on top of the clouds, and it's like, these white fluffy clouds, it's sunshine, it's absolutely gorgeous, and you're all by yourself. And the only thing you hear is the humming of the engines. And it's just, it's a feeling you can't actually explain. It's just the most exhilarating feeling. Being German, my breakfast is very important. I used to take my breakfast along and then sit on top of these clouds and have a nice cup of coffee, some nice rolls.
Breakfast above the clouds by yourself. So you had a
Yeah.
date with yourself. That's amazing. That sounds amazing. I think that's probably one of the most something that most of us don't experience is that time with ourselves and that silence and that peaceful.
Oh,
and
unbelievable.
What a location.
Yeah,
Like,
what a location for
seriously.
breakfast.
Right?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Because you often pick up passengers, when I flew charter, for instance, I picked up, you pick up passengers somewhere, so you fly empty there and pick them up. And those were just magical moments, and particularly if you've gone through really bad weather and, the thunderstorm and pouring rain and you sort of, oh my God, and then you break through and you're in this stillness. It's hard to describe, but it really is magical.
The way you describe it, I almost feel like I'm up there with you. Like, I almost picture being there in the clouds and breakfast.
Yeah, and the breakfast.
So who's flying the plane while you're eating breakfast?
It's on autopilot.
Oh, okay. So, all right. So let me ask you: when you, being the first female at the time, were there other women in the program with you, training to be a pilot? No. So you were the only one. How were the guys towards you, being you the only woman in the program training? Were they okay with it? Were they like, this is cool, or did they give you a hard time?
No, they didn't give me a hard time. My biggest challenge was that I left school when I was 15 because my father had a heart attack and I got taken out of school to run the photography side of our business with my father sort of guiding me from his bedside. When it came to writing the exams, I had hardly any math, no science. English wasn't my first language because I went to a German school. So those were my big challenges for me. And I really, I didn't, it was also, Namibia at the time was based, there weren't all that many people there. It wasn't, it was a long time ago. So no, I can't say that I had a lot. In fact, I had a lot of help. I had incredible mentors.
That's awesome. You just said something that I find is very inspiring, and I think anyone watching this that may feel that they don't have enough education. You just said you went to you applied. Had you already applied for? No, you just knew that in order to get in, you had to get all this stuff done.
I needed to get a commercial license. So I had to pass the written exams.
Right.
I got myself a home study course. I worked during the day as a photographer, studied at night.
You can do this, right?
And, everybody can do this.
So, okay, so let me ask you, if someone is not like 15, someone is 30, I don't know, is there an age limit to how young a person can be to become a commercial pilot?
No.
So anybody at any time, as long as they put the work and study and pass the exams, they can become pilots.
Commercial pilot.
So there you go. If that's your dream, you can do it, regardless of where you're at, even if you don't have the education.
And I think what you need is the passion to persevere when things get tough. Mm-hmm. Studying was really not easy for me. And then when I thought I was sort of reasonably ready to write the exams, we had to fly up to Johannesburg at the time to do the exams. And so I went and did a 2-week course up in Johannesburg to prepare myself for the written exams. And I thought I was reasonably ready. When I walked out of the exam, I just realized I had failed hopelessly.
Oh.
And I was devastated. Yeah.
Of course.
Because you sort of put all this time and effort in, and you think, and I was pretty cocky in other ways, and I thought, oh no, I'm not going to have any problem.
So did you think when you went for the exam, did you think, oh, I'm going to ace it? Or were you worried that
I didn't think I was going to ace it, but I thought I would pass. But I didn't. And then, like so often in life, you have a decision to make, You can either say, this is not for me, this is way too difficult, or you can say, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And I'm just going to get back to my home study course, I'm going to work as a photographer again.
I'm going to have breakfast on the clouds.
I didn't even know you'd come back then. But
But that was your reward because you didn't give up.
Yeah. And I really didn't. It was hard. But the second time I walked out of the exam, I just knew I had passed. And the sort of thrill and excitement I felt about having achieved something that maybe deep down I didn't think I was going to be able to was worth all the time and effort I've spent on it. Mm-hmm. So even at this point, I mean, I wanted to get a commercial license, I wanted to get my instructor's rating, and I wanted to instruct. That was my goal.
So you were teaching it as well?
I was teaching it, yeah. And that was fabulous. I mean, and I think I was for you know, you mainly teach men, and I think what was my advantage was that I'm very tiny, I'm petite, and I don't look like I could fly a plane. So I think when they walked up to me, you know, they probably said, Jesus, if she can do it, I can do this. This is can't be that difficult. And I think that was a big advantage for me because I had some really great students.
You inspired them.
Yeah,
but you're also so passionate. Like, how can you not? Right?
Well,
like, you're making me want, like, maybe I should go for mine.
Well, I mean, it was. I was so excited about sharing that passion with my students. Mm-hmm. And I really had a fun time. I mean, I worked at 3 different flying clubs. And actually, the last flying club I was at the Goodhead Flying Club in Cape Town. And I was the only instructor there. And my now husband called up to book a lesson, and that's how we met.
That is so cool. Love story in the process, but almost like a Top Gun story, almost. So, Cookie, you mentioned right at the beginning that there's a movie in the making about your story.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
Well, it's in development. Yeah.
Okay, tell us about that.
Well, it was interesting. You know, again, things show up in your life that you couldn't possibly even imagine. I mean, when I was working as a photographer in a very small place in Namibia, not in a million years did I think that I would, in a week's time, do something that would totally transform my life and move it in a completely different direction. And I think, you know, we often have opportunities like that, but we don't take them.
I want to applaud you because I think we don't have enough people applauding us for those little moments of decisions. You were there in the sunset, you know, you fell in love with it. You could have easily walked away thinking, wow, this is amazing. I really love to do this, but it's beyond me. I don't think I could ever learn this. But you didn't think that way. Your passion was so strong that it was like there's no obstacle.
Whatever it took. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's such a lesson there. Yeah. Just in that moment, right? Because you're just like, I'm doing this, like, no matter what. And when you fail the test, you have to make a decision again. Yeah. It's like, okay. And that passion was like, no, I'm doing this. I'm sure that when you passed the second time, it probably, you appreciated it even more.
Oh, I was totally on cloud 9. You know, it was such an amazing moment. Just because you sort of persevered and you achieved something. And, you know, often the things that take us a long time and are difficult are the ones that really, you know, are meaningful to us. Mm-hmm. And we have a blog called You Can Wing It.
You can wing it? Oh, I love it. I love it.
And really what that means is you don't have to have all the answers. I mean, when I landed from that first time in an aircraft, when we were back on the ground, I mean, I wanted to fly. I had no idea what was involved, none whatsoever, but it didn't stop me from taking the first step and then just keep following the breadcrumbs. And I always say,
the first step. That you said it because I think
you just have to take the first step.
I think most people don't follow their passion, their dream, because it can seem overwhelming. Yeah. Getting a pilot license is overwhelming for most people.
You don't have to chew it all in one go.
No, so
just take small
steps.
Small steps, but move. I always say, when you see something, and I mean it happens maybe 3 or 4 times in your lifetime. Yet you see something and you think, oh God, I'd love to do that, you know. And I always say, what do you do with that thought? Do you follow the cookie crumbs, or do you just say, oh, I couldn't possibly do that?
Was that a pun intended? Following the cookie crumbs?
No. Actually, an audience shouted that out once. When I said, follow the breadcrumbs, he says, no, follow the cookie crumbs.
That is awesome. So how long were you, how long did you work for commercial? How long did you fly?
I flew total 9 years, but not that was including the instruction and everything.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So tell us about the movie. We're back at the movie.
Okay,
how is this coming about? How did it?
The movie was really interesting. My decisions are always guided by the amount of joy I feel. And if I feel really joyous about something, I know I'm on the right track. And I had this amazing dream of being at the premiere of my movie. And I could see all the pictures out of my book were posters on the wall. I could taste the champagne. The director and myself were sitting in this beautiful chair, and we were watching the opening scene, which was a small plane skimming across the water towards this huge orange ball. And my friends were there, and it was just an incredible dream. And I don't often dream. And I woke up and I thought, that felt so good. I feel so good. This is going to happen sometime. And it didn't take that long till the ball started rolling. I got approached by somebody on LinkedIn to be connected. They'd like to connect with me on LinkedIn or whatever. And I didn't know who it was, so I looked her up. And it turned out that she was the president of Women in Film and Television. And so I said, would you be open to a short, brief conversation? She said, sure. I live in Mexico, but I commute between Vancouver and Los Angeles. I'm going to be in Vancouver next week. Give me a shot. And then we talked, and we just clicked. It was just like, and I said, I'm going to share something with you. You probably think I'm completely crazy. But I had this really vivid dream about being at the premiere of my movie. And she said, oh, that's interesting. What was the movie about? And I said, well, it would be about my book. This is Cookie, a pilot speaking. She says, okay. So I said, yeah, it was my story of being the first female airline pilot in South Africa. And she said, well, that sounds really interesting. And maybe I can help you make that a reality. So she said, well, I tell you what, write me a chapter on each a paragraph on each chapter telling me what the audience, why would that be interesting for the audience, what would the audience get out of it, and so on, because it can't obviously be all about you. And I said, no, I appreciate that. So I did that, and she says, and I'm going to be back in Vancouver in 2 weeks. Let's have lunch. And that's how it all started.
Cool.
And we had lunch, and I tell you, by the time we finished lunch, I didn't need a plane to fly home. I was on such a high.
That is fantastic. So do we have a timeline on when? You said we're still in the preliminary phase, or
we're sort of in the middle of it. Okay. We have. I got another partner that I got through giving a talk. She came up to me afterwards, and that was about maybe a month after I had spoken to Eileen. And at the end of my talk, I said, oh, and by the way, my story is going to be made into a movie. And this Moira came up to me and said, oh, that's very interesting. Let's chat about it some more. And so now the three of us are partners, and I have the best partners anybody could possibly wish for.
That's fantastic.
They really are fabulous. And we've been at it for quite a while now. We started in 2016. And it's a fairly long process. I didn't think so. I thought it would be, quick.
Oh, yeah, no, it takes time. It takes time.
It takes a long time.
Okay, so in your years of flying, whether commercial or privately, personally, on your own, any interesting stories up in the air besides breakfast? Anything that you just go, oh, that was a scary moment? Anything scary or anything that was like, whoa?
Well, with instruction, you have a few scary moments, and I had one really scary moment. I had a German student who was terrified of flying on airlines, and when they went on any trips, his wife would take one child and he would take the other child. They would never fly in the same aircraft in case all of them.
He was a student learning to fly? No.
Yeah, he came to me saying he wanted to learn to fly to get over his fear of flying.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, is that...
No, and he was terrible. I mean, he didn't even look out of the window the first couple of times. He was just totally terrified. And normally a student sort of goes solo within 6-8 hours. We were up maybe 12, 13 hours. He hadn't even gone touch and go landings. So when I thought he was ready, and I so laughed because afterwards I said to myself, if I had a little bit more understanding of human psychology, I would never have taken on this journey with him. Anyway, I took him for touch and go landings, and it went fairly well. I did some, and then and then I sort of talked him through them. and the second one, he was, I took over right at the end, but he was reasonably okay. And then I don't know what happened, but on the second time that he was going to touch down, he just froze, and he was just terrified coming into land. And we were maybe 500 feet above the ground, so I mean, you're going to hit the ground really fast. And he just froze. He wouldn't let go of the stick, and I kept on saying, "Let go of the stick. Let go of the stick. I've got it. Let go." And I mean, this was all seconds, and all of a sudden he did seem to let go enough for me to just take over and overshoot the
So
runway.
teaching will probably be more dangerous than just being on your own, because
because it's like being on the road. I mean, you know what you're doing, but you not necessarily know what the other people in the cars are doing.
Yeah.
And I always say that to me, flying is the safest way of transportation, because I mean, you completely in control. I mean, you've got the weather, but if you know what you're doing, it's safer than driving on the road, I feel.
Well, I've flown a lot, not as much as you. I've flown a lot. I think for my life, I've flown a lot. I'm not really afraid of flying, but I have seen people that are totally scared and they don't look outside.
Yeah.
I don't have any interesting stories of all flights. That's why I'm like, but you've flown a lot more. So.
Lots of people are terrified of flying, and I really think that having an instructor like me was an advantage to people, because it just gave them the confidence that they thought, well, if she can do it, surely I can do it.
So, Cookie, what would you like our audience to know? Is there anything about you that you'd like to share, or something? You speak as well, right?
Yes.
You actually go around and speak, so you're available for speaking gigs.
Yes.
Where can people get a hold of you if they want to reach out to you for speaking?
Our website is cookieco.com.
Okay. We'll have the link in the notes.
Yeah. That's probably the easiest. My email, you can also just post in the. Yeah, that's the easiest. My email is probably the easiest way to get hold of me.
Okay.
And
so we don't know when the movie's coming out.
You will know.
Oh, we will know. Okay, so we just have to follow you. Any words of wisdom you'd like to share before we go?
What was really important to me is, I think my mother was a huge catalyst for me for living my dreams. Because my mother actually took her own life because she was so unhappy. And to me, if I can inspire anybody to go after their dreams and live what they're really passionate about, and it doesn't matter what it is, it doesn't have to be, flying, it doesn't have to be anything special, but just don't give up on those dreams. And so many people do, because you don't want to get to a later stage in your life and you say, God, I wish I had done that.
The regret.
The regrets, and then it's too late to do anything about it. And it's such a fun journey anyway. Just trust. I mean, we've got so much help from everybody. Just trust that you can do. If you have been given a dream, you also have the ability inside of you to achieve it.
To find a way. I believe that too. I believe that too. That
you wouldn't have been given that dream if you couldn't find a way.
I totally believe that. I'm on board with you 100% on that thought. I find that one of the reasons most people do give up is because they think, well, number one, is overwhelming in so many different levels. It could be financial. Maybe they don't have the means to pursue the type of dream that they want, and they kind of freeze, like your student. They just totally freeze. Where if you can just let the passion do the driving, like it did to you, you find a way. You become creative, and you find a way on how you can achieve that. And it doesn't have to be like you did. It doesn't have to be all of a sudden. It wasn't easy for you. It wasn't just like, I'm going to go to, air flying school or flight school. You had things to do before you could even get there, because you didn't have you know, the math and the science
I
and all that.
was the most unlikely person to have become the first airline
And that's
pilot.
what I love. I
And
love
if
that.
I can do that, you can achieve your dreams. And, you know, it doesn't have to be all in one go. Just take small steps and move towards it. And just trust that, you know, opportunities and people will come along. I always say that if you're on fire with your dream, you will find people will step forward to want to help you achieve them. But you've got to be on fire about it.
You have to be on fire, and you have to talk about it with people so people know, so they can help you. Because if you don't talk about it and you don't share it, it's not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
You do have to share
exactly,
that.
yeah.
So
But
fantastic.
But it's so worth it. It is so worth it.
So fantastic.
And it's nice that because you have different dreams at different stages of your life, you know. It's not, I mean, very few people, I think, get born with a passion to, for instance, for women, be a ballerina or an opera singer. I mean, most of us have different passions at different stages of our life, but it's what we do with those passions that make the difference of how happy and fulfilled you feel.
Say that again. Say that it's what you do with those passions.
That makes the difference of how happy and fulfilled you feel in your life.
Yes.
Because you notice when you're with somebody that is working towards a dream or has achieved a dream, there's an energy about them. You know, there's an excitement for life and a zest for life, and that's what you want, you know.
You want to surround yourself with the right people, the ones that support you emotionally, not necessarily. Yeah,
it's not
starting
necessarily
with
your family.
Yeah, no,
You know?
most of the time it is not. Most of the time they think you're crazy.
Don't count on your family to don't put all your eggs in that basket.
No. I think we all need a variety of support from different areas, not just from family, not just from friends, but it has to be from different areas.
Some, you know, people that are in the direction of where you want to go, that have achieved what you want to achieve, but otherwise just people that you know believe that you could do anything you want, set your mind to.
There you go. I love that.
Those are the sort of friends you want to hold on dearly.
So you heard it. Follow your dreams. There's no excuses. One day at a time. Find the right people, and you don't want to live with regrets. So, Cookie, it's such a pleasure to have you here on the show.
So much fun.
I'm so happy you came and know a little bit more about your story. So, follow Cookie, and I can't wait to see your movie when it comes out, and you can also get the book. It's on your website. Is that where people
It's on my website or Amazon or.
Okay, so just follow the link below, and then you can also get
a
a
Kindle
copy of the book.
Kindle
There's
version.
the Kindle version. So there you go. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. It was such a joy. It was fun.
It was.
It was so much fun.
It was, and it still is.
It was so much fun.
Bye.
Thank you for listening.